How's it going, YouTubers? This is Iron Fist LMS, once again coming to you from the LMS live stream over at Twitch TV. Now, the video I've created for you guys today is actually in response to a lot of questions I was getting about my previous video, which was featuring the 21 kill Reaver streak. Now, a lot of you guys, the viewers, have been asking me what setup, what loadout was I using on that Reaver that made it so deadly at ganking aircraft behind enemy lines, and how come all those mozzies couldn't pick up on the fact that you were killing their teammates left, right and center. Now, I figured I would just go ahead and kill two birds with one stone. Instead of replying in the comments, I just decided to go ahead and make a video about it. So this video is all about how to set up your aircraft, Reaver, Scythe or Mosquito. It's good for all three empires, on how to be a pure dogfighting interceptor aircraft in Planetside 2. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about here is the all-important decoy flares in the utility slot. Now, this is pretty much universal. Whether you're running air-to-ground or air-to-air loadouts, you're going to want to take the first point of decoy flares as your first cert in the aircraft. And obviously, when you have more cert points available later on, you can start putting them in there in order to lower the cooldown of the flares. Now, these flares not only work great against air-to-air missiles, they also help you a whole bunch against ground-based lock-ons, such as the TR Striker, which is really deadly at the moment. Now, that brings me nicely on to the defense slot of the aircraft. Now, a lot of people have varying opinions on this, but in my personal opinion, when you're running a pure air-to-air loadout, when you're going dogfighting, I recommend picking up vehicle stealth. Now, the reason for me saying this is actually twofold. You get two benefits here. Not only do you not appear on enemy radar when you're flying around, so enemies have a much harder time keeping track of you. All they have, to kind of see where you are is their third-person view and their sound. Obviously, it's a lot harder to track someone when you can't see them on radar. But not only that, but you also increase the amount of time it takes for lock-ons to actually get a solid lock on you. And by the time that you max out vehicle stealth, it takes a whole extra second for a lock-on to actually get that solid lock-on and fire a rocket at you. So it helps in two ways. Now, the biggest benefit, of course, is the fact that you don't appear on enemy radar, and that is exactly how I managed to do that 21 kill streak behind TR lines in my previous video, just by being super sneaky, diving down from high altitude, and making sure that that vehicle stealth keeps me off radar. Now, the next slot, the performance slot, is even more varied than the defense slot. A lot of people, will tell you different things about this. Now, again, in my opinion, this one is extremely personal, and you should probably try out all three versions to see which one suits you best, because it really depends on your flight style. Now, for me personally, I use the racer airframe because I like to be able to dive down from the sky, and it gives me that extra burst speed, especially while afterburnering, to catch up with enemies, or obviously to get away from enemies. I don't know how many times I've been saved by the fact that I can quickly burst away from a bad situation like a 3v1 or a 2v1, and then turn the tables in my favor once I've got away from that fight. So, I mean, you guys have to sort of test them out for yourselves, see which one works best for you. It's very, very personal, that one. Now, of course, the main cannon that I use on the aircraft is the Vortex rotary cannon. I almost maxed out my maximum ammo capacity, because that thing really does fly through ammo fast. And I've also put a lot of cert points, obviously, as you can see here, it's maxed out, into the magazine size upgrade. Now, I think on the last update they changed how much ammo the thing can hold, and now when you have it maxed out, the Vortex can hold 45 rounds in each magazine, which is more than enough to kill aircraft in one clip, which you're going to see me doing in my previous video. So yeah, there's only two real things that you need to upgrade here. Everything else is kind of personal preference. You can see there's a lot of optics and stuff. I prefer not to use them, but again, it's down to personal preference there. Now, the last item that I use on the Reaver is very, very specific to this dogfighting loadout, and that is the external Afterburner tanks. Now, these tanks give you the added benefit of being able to catch up with enemies or to dive down from maximum altitude really fast using the Afterburner. Now, those tanks actually give you a massive 80% increase in the amount of afterburner fuel you have, so you can really easily catch up with enemies, or of course escape enemies that are pursuing you, and get yourself out of bad situations like 2v1s or 3v1s. So when you're running this pure interceptor loadout, you're going to want to grab those. Now to round this up guys, I've actually recorded a quick little video clip here to try and demonstrate how you can use this loadout on the battlefield to dominate your enemies. Now as you can see here, I'm sort of running Intercept outside the TR warp gate. I'm trying to kill any aircraft that are coming in and out of their warp gate. I catch this Mozzie trying to go towards the front lines, and I actually used a quick reverse turn because I kind of assumed he wanted to try and fight me. But in the end, he just decided to try and run back in the warp gate, and I used control bursts on the vortex to just quickly nail him down. Now, using the sound in-game, I can hear that there's a Mozzie coming up behind me using vehicle stealth. So I quickly juke behind this rock and completely take him by surprise. He has absolutely no idea where I am. Simply due to the fact I'm using vehicle stealth, he can't see me on radar. And I'm also not really moving, so my Reaver is making next to no noise, so I can literally get the jump on him and sort of nail him down in one clip of vortex. Now when you're running this kind of interceptor loadout outside the warp gates, you're going to want to try and sit at about 700 meters altitude. Now the reason I say this is because at 700 meters you can actually still see ground targets, you can still render low flying aircraft, but you still have a buffer zone of 300 meters above you in case you need to do some kind of reverse maneuver or elevation. And that 300 meters is going to stop you actually bumping into the flight ceiling and losing control of your aircraft for 2 or 3 seconds, which could be an absolute killer in dogfights. I'm sure you've all done that by mistake before. Now as I turn back round to Torich, I see there's a lot of TR targets around, and I actually started off by trying to kill the lib before I saw this Mozzie flying around. Now when you're doing this kind of behind enemy lines work, you need to take out the ECFs, the Mozzies or the Scythes or the Reavers first before you try and take out libs, because they are your main threat in the air. Once you've taken those out, you can always go back and kill those libs later in order to get your XP farm. But as I say, always try and stay at about 700 meters altitude, because you then have the option of being able to dive down onto enemy aircraft, take them by surprise, and then dive straight back up again. And that's kind of where your Afterburner tanks come in handy. You can dive up and down really, really fast. So that's about it for today, guys. I hope this guide was useful to you and it answered your questions from my previous video. As always, I appreciate any sort of comment, feedback or suggestions on this video that allow me to create better content in the future for my channel. So until next time guys, take it easy and have a good one.